In the world of radar detection and protection, technology is king, and one brand has come to the summit and the table with some offering that is not only unique, but has been changing the game for the last few years. We're talking about Radenso, and today we're blessed to have not only one representative, but an entire team coming onto the show to show you exactly why Radenso and their technology reign supreme. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Radenso. And it starts now. Welcome, everybody, to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and on the menu today is some radar detection technology. More specifically, a brand that's come into the game lately, and I will say lately, with some incredibly innovative product, which is totally getting dealers' attention. Why? Well, we're going to find that out today. Today, to start our video, we've got two guests. One is MINDI LANE, who is the product expert and chief sales officer for Radenso, as well as John Dandro, who is the CEO, will be joining us as well. Guys, welcome to the show. What can we expect to cover on today's session?
So today we're going to be taking a look not just at our RCM custom install product, which is radar and laser protection, but we're here at JK Automotive Designs, and we're going to be going over some pretty cool stuff about installation and best practices and fabrication related to radar and laser protection.
Well, if you haven't already figured out, this is going to be a special episode. So don't go away, because first I got to give an opportunity for our partner SiriusXM to remind you dealers out there why you should love it. And when we get back, we're going deep into Radenso.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability.
People love it.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get right into it. I've got John and Mindy both from Radenso here. And I guess to set the stage for today's conversation, you know, the CI category for some is a moneymaker, an absolute huge part of their business. But on the other end of the spectrum, there's dealers that haven't even discovered this as a revenue stream. So I'd like to hear you speak to this a little bit as far as the opportunity and Radenso's commitment to this category.
So when it comes to the CI category for radar and laser protection, this is one that's super interesting to me. So over the last few years, me and Mindy have traveled, and I think we've set foot in more than 200 dealers in the United States.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I have some dealers that this is all that they do for their business. And they do, you know, low seven figures of revenue just based on radar. And some other dealers really struggle with that whole value proposition. How do you explain it to a customer and convince them to spend a few $1,000s on laser protection? So this is something that we know can be a moneymaker for almost any dealer out there. But you do have to understand not just what you're offering, but you have to understand how to sell it to the customers. And most importantly, you have to let them know that you sell it and that it will benefit them. So understanding how it works and how to drive that value proposition to the customer is something that I think can be a huge growth of your business. Because remember, out of almost everything that we do, the one thing that will never be OEMs, that will never come in cars, it's not backup cameras, it's not audio, it's radar and laser protection. So this can be an important part of your business going forward.
Yeah. And think about all the cars that come in the shop, right? They're, you know, the GT3 RS, right? It's coming in for sound and tint and PPF. Why not? Why are you not offering radar and laser? I guess that's the biggest thing.
Yep. I promise you that the customers are out there. Yeah. The people with money are out there. And we have dealers that can regularly command $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 for an install. Maybe not to every customer, but there are enough of those people out there where you can make money off of that too. So we just want to help you understand how to make that happen.
Well, it's pretty obvious the fact that where you are today, guys. Obviously, Jeremy over at JK is a huge proponent, and this is a big part of his business. I can't wait to learn more about that later on in the show. So it's a great business opportunity. Let's take some time to understand what the tech is all about. There's different components to the CI systems, And we've broken it down so you guys, the dealers, can maybe better understand after watching this. So let's go with you, John. Laser protection, key word. We hear about it. It's being spoken to. It's on the box. How does Radenso handle laser protection?
So you mentioned Jeremy from JK Automotive, and I think one of the things that he does really well, besides putting his name behind the products that he sells and only wanting to sell the best, is that he understands technically how the products work. If you are going to make a sale to a customer that is thousands of dollars, you will be infinitely more successful if you yourself deeply understand and use the technology. And that's why we are here today, to help you understand the fine details about how laser and radar protection work. So as I mentioned earlier, we only want to sell the best, and AL Priority currently makes the best laser jammers on the market. It's the only jammer that can successfully defeat all threats, including the Dragon Eye, in almost all conditions, and that's why we've partnered with them. Now, while AL Priority was a great product, and even before the partnership with Radenso, they were very successful, there was a couple of pain points that users had. Your customers generally like simplicity. They like having one system, radar and laser protection. Sometimes they'll just call you and say, look, I trust you, put whatever the best is in my car. I don't want to know how it works, what the parts are, but I trust you, just put it in, right? So AL Priority used to not have any radar component, and they didn't have a display. So what people were doing is they were installing AL Priority separately and then adding on like an escort radar system separately. So 2 control boxes, 2 speakers.
2 sets of connectors.
People didn't want that. So what we did is we plugged in our engineers with AL Priority's engineers, shared the protocols, got all the software working. So now from a customer standpoint, they don't even know that it's AL Priority other than the name. It integrates as one system. All the alerts come through our display and our speaker. There's one power button, one volume button, and you can even take advantage of AL Priority's really unique features like laser gun identification right on our screen. So if the customer gets shot by a Dragon Eye or a laser goes off, they don't have to wonder if it's a false alert. Our system's so advanced that it can actually tell you on the screen and with the voice prompt that you're being shot by a Dragon Eye or a laser Atlanta or whatever gun that it is. Exactly. Now, when it comes to laser, it's a complicated topic, and there are a lot of, I would say, misinformation out there, but in terms of how these systems work. And one thing that makes AL Priority really unique is that we don't just have one generic type of sensor. And the reason for that is twofold. One, there's not one generic type of laser gun. There's a whole bunch of different techniques that the police have with different software, different pulse rates. It's kind of a cat and mouse game. So we wanted to make sure that we could adapt to the changing threat environment with the latest technology. The second reason behind that is because we're always pushing the envelope and planning for the future. So years ago, it used to be fine just to have one type of laser head that would transmit and receive. But we have, with not just the Dragon Eye, but some future stuff, we know that it's going to be necessary to make more sophisticated systems and separate out the receive and the transmit diodes for higher performance in the future. So one of the things that is totally unique to ALP is that we have a dedicated transmit-only sensor. It's called a TX sensor. We include those in all of our Ultimate kits. Normally it's an upsell, but we just bundle it in because our Ultimate system is supposed to be the best. And that sensor doesn't actually receive anything, but it has 3 high-power transmit-only diodes. So you're getting 3 times the power output of a normal head. And also, equally importantly, when a TX is present, the exterior heads that are mounted on the left and the right side, those will usually go into receive-only mode. Now, think about it. If you're transmitting farther apart from when you're receiving, you're going to get less interference, right? Our system is so smart that it actually can crank up the gain on the receive sensors to maximize receive sensitivity. And that's one of the reasons that AL Priority never misses a shot. So it's a really cool system. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. It can react individually and differently to different types of guns in terms of software and hardware. It's just the best laser protection on the market, and it served me very, very well. And I don't have a light foot.
All right, thank you, John, for the great explanation as far as laser technology goes. But the other half of that is radar. And radar, that's been around for some time. But Mindy, in your words, helping us understand what or how does Radenso tackle radar protection?
So let's rewind back to the 80s and 90s when you're cruising in your Trans-Mero Bird car, whatever you're rocking. We all used radar detectors back in the day, and the number one complaint that we all had was that they wouldn't shut up. And it's still a problem today. That problem has not gone away with most products in the market. So when we came to market with a Radenso 7 years ago now, our main focus was to have a radar detector that was as quiet as possible, that it really only spoke up when there was an actual threat. The problem with radar is a lot of the false alerts that happen on a radar detector are actually caused by environmental factors such as pharmacies, grocery stores, banks. All of those automatic doors all operate on the same frequency that the police, a lot of them do, the same as police vans. Then you have in-car pollution, as I call it. So you've got blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, lane change assist. Like, it's endless as far as the amount of false alerts that a radar detector can pick up. And we've gone to, thanks to our in-house lab, we've gone to extensive conditions to be able to prevent the vast majority of these false alerts. Not all, but the vast majority. There are times where sometimes we're not able to filter out, thank you, a false alert that's stationary. So we do have the ability to lock out using GPS locations.
Automatic GPS lockouts.
Yeah. So if you pass a bank or a pharmacy 3 times, it automatically understands that, oh, okay, that's a false alert. We're going to lock that out for future, and it won't alert, which is great. The second thing is range. You need enough time for your detector to go off from the time that it initially receives the police car ahead, to actually slow down. If you're getting 2 seconds notice, it's not going to help you out a lot. So we want to make sure you have plenty of time to receive the alert. Oh, that's the police ahead. I need to slow down. And I think the key thing is, by not having the false alerts, you actually start paying attention to your detector. That's a very, very key thing. Another thing that we do phenomenally well is MRCD protection. So MRCD is multi-radar. It's used a lot in Canada. It's used a fair bit in a lot of US markets. And it's most of the times it's stationary, but sometimes, especially Edmonton, I'm looking at you, it is mobile. And it's a threat that is a very, very low powered frequency threat that it's really hard for a lot of detectors to be able to even recognize, oh, snap, there's MRCD ahead. Most detectors in the market can't even detect it. Not only do we detect it, we do a great job of giving you enough time to slow down as well with those threats. To learn more about MRCD and all the different weird threats that are available, you can go to radenso.com and check out our Radar University portion of our website. It's a great educational spot for you guys to learn more about some of the threats that you might face in your areas. And then also some cool things with our detector, we offer our OLED magnetic screen. John was talking about it a little bit earlier. It's pretty slick, especially areas where you're worried about, your detector being seen. You have the option of just removing the magnetic display. It kills the entire system and shifts it back into parking sensor mode, which parking sensors are not illegal anywhere in the world, which is a nice feature to have. So kiss those false alerts goodbye, offer great range, and have class-leading detection.
All right, the next item of conversation is something that I know Radenso really is proud of and supports their dealers incredibly well with, and we're talking about warranty. So John, can you give us some details about the warranty that Radenso offers on all their product?
At Radenso, warranty is really important to us. The first step of warranty is having products that generally don't fail very often, and I think that we're in a great spot there with very, very low defect rates for all of our products. But nobody's perfect, and when a problem does happen, it's critically important to me to make sure that we take care of you. So at Radenso, we have a few different warranty options. Our dash mounts carry an industry standard 1-year warranty, and then we up that to 2 years for our base custom install model. Now, for our Ultimate Edition dealers and our Platinum dealers, the Ultimate kits have a 5-year and up warranty, depending on what part of the world that you're located in. So nobody else has anything close to the 5-year warranty in the industry, and it's something that we do pride ourselves on. On top of the warranty, we do also offer a ticket-free guarantee for the products, and that ticket-free guarantee matches the warranty length. So for the dash mounts, it's 1 year, it's 2 years for a standard custom install, and then it's 5 years and up for our Ultimate Edition platforms.
All right, so we've taken the time to talk about some of the technology. We've also covered warranty. I want to address one of the common, challenges and it really depends on the level or the resources of each shop, is the final installation of the control unit on some of these systems. I understand the Radenso has come up with a nifty solution to help with this.
That's exactly right. Every car is so different. Some of the interiors today are so challenging. Just the way they're configured, it's very difficult to find a great place for your controller. It doesn't matter if it's our system or any of the other radar systems in the market, it's difficult sometimes. And we heard that over and over and over again. A lot of shops do not have the ability, time, desire, or need in their mind to have a fab shop when it comes to anything with acrylic or resins. So what we decided to do is to bring it in-house, and we created a universal fit custom controller pod. It is all handmade in the USA with love, fully finished, ready to go, VHB backed, ready to go on damn near any windshield, I will say. I don't want to say 100% because there's going to be that one car that it doesn't fit, but we have yet to find that car. So the idea being that it fits up nice flush just under the headliner. The customer is able to touch the buttons, mute, remove their display if they so desire at some point. It really gives a beautiful fit and finish you don't have to do as a shop to make it, look really sleek and custom without having to do the work yourself. So we kind of thought that would be something great. We've been doing it for 2 or 3 years now, and customers really love them.
Yep. And from a business standpoint, I mean, it is custom work. So you can charge the billable hours and make them believe that it's a custom solution that you crafted for them, but you don't actually have to do the work.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool option.
All right, so there you have it. Mindy explaining a really cool option in their controller pods that are offered directly from Radenso to help you with your installation. But we're going to take this conversation to the next level. And as you know, they're hanging out over at JK Automotive Designs, where Jeremy Katz, yes, co-owner Jeremy Katz, is standing by. And I'm going to ask him exactly how JK handles these CI installations and how he absolutely takes it to that next level, which I hope is going to be inspiring for all of you watching. So, Jeremy, thanks for joining us. Why don't you walk us through a little bit the process of when a vehicle comes in and the customer's like, yeah, I want that JK install. How does that work from beginning to end?
Absolutely, Ben. So our process is a bit different than most. The vehicle comes in to the shop. We assess the vehicle. We scan the entire vehicle, well, front and back, rear bumper, front bumper, because that's where the laser pods are going to be housed. After it's scanned, we bring the scan data into our CAD software, which we use Fusion 360. Within Fusion 360, you can use the mesh to draw your pods. So you can use the mesh as a visual, and you can draw you can take so let's start over. You take the actual RX sensor and the TX sensors, you bring them into the CAD software. You then have the mesh sitting there as a visual. You take the TX sensor and the RX sensor, and you can place them strategically on the bumper where you want them. And you can actually measure how far apart they are, so you can see distance from headlights, for proper, best placement, really. So after you have them positioned, you can actually straighten them and level them in the CAD, because we bring in a floor plane and a symmetry plane from scanning. So you have a perfect floor plane and a symmetry plane, so straightforward and level. So after they're leveled and straightforward, we can then draw the pods around them to make them look disguised in the car, which is called like the stealth version, right? So we begin to draw everything. Once it's drawn, you can take one pod, mirror it to the next side. You have the middle pod, which stays by itself for the TX sensor. And then you can add all sorts of different fillets, chamfers. You can design it any way you want to look good. My approach really is to take, the car dictates how the pod looks, in my opinion. So with everything we do here, from audio to radar, laser, doesn't matter what we're doing. The car dictates the shapes, the designs, the lines. So what we take is bumper lines or maybe headlight lines or whatever it may be, and we bring those into our pods that we designed. So it looks like it's part of the car. So if we're working on, like, for instance, this one's a Tesla. So it looks like Tesla put it there, as best as possible.
All right, that is a very rigorous and detailed process explained by Jeremy, but I can't help but notice you have a model on the screen there. So once you have that all scanned and set up, how do you go from that to, I guess, final placement and manufacture?
Okay, so you can see here on the screen, we have a 2022 Tesla Model Y front bumper mesh or scan. The highlighted blue is the actual scan, all these parts. The scan is just split apart for me to work on it easier. So you can see here's our pods. This is the actual front infrared acrylic. So we choose to use infrared acrylic on the front. We've been doing this process for about 8 or 9 years now. And behind this infrared, let me turn this off here. You can actually see the sensors behind here. So you have an RX sensor, and this gets, like I told you, it gets strategically placed in the car. So on a straight on view, this is perfectly straight and perfectly level. to the floor of the car and to this. So once you have that, you can start the design process of our pods. Let me turn off the scan here. So you can kind of see the pods by themselves. So there they are. So we do it a bit differently here. So we have these mounting plates that go behind here. So the RX sensor sits inside here. We have a clamp system that we've developed. We do 440 inserts here, machine screws, inserts for the machine screws. Once that's built, then this gets clamped together and the RX sensor gets perfectly mounted inside there and clamped. So it won't ever go anywhere. And it's pressed up against the front of the IR here in the front of the pod. So again, all this is, the best way to do this is in CAD, the fastest way, the most efficient way. And once all these are developed, all these different parts, okay, we then send these parts to the printer, okay? And then in the printer, this gets resin printed, all right? You can actually see the top here. We don't drill any holes. So we actually use the mesh. Let me try to turn that mesh back on. So there's the mesh immediately behind the pod that we've designed. And you can see this different organic shape that it has right here. And we actually use the mesh to cut and split this body. So it's a perfect plane right here that goes all the way down. That way we can use tape, and you can double side tape your part up to the actual bumper so you're not drilling any holes. If taped correctly, prepped correctly, it will never ever come off. We've been doing this process for a long time. So a lot of clients clients don't want to see holes in the car. So that's why we do this. So there's 0 holes. So if he sells this car, we can take that down with some fishing line and it looks like nothing was ever done. So anyway, so once this is all printed, we grab them out of the printer, we post-process these pieces. We then paint them. Well, after we post-process them, we prime them and paint them. And we use a special resin that has high heat and it's fine for weathered elements, especially here in Boston. So we have 4 seasons here. So then we attach the IR by gluing it onto the front. We polish the IR after the pod is actually taped off. We polish the IR up all the way down from 120 grit all the way up to 2500 grit. And then we buff them, and you have a finished pod after that. That gets mounted to the car with double-sided tape. Sometimes we'll add a trough into the back of the pod, depending on how thick the tape is, so you don't actually see the tape. It's pretty much the process. You can see here, this is the IR right here. This is the actual pod. You can see the perfect plane that matches to the actual bumper itself. Again, the mounts for the laser heads, screws that get countersunk into here. So everything's really well thought out, the whole process. And this is the exact process we do on pretty much every single car that comes through here for radar laser.
All right, Jeremy, there's some really important questions I have to ask you while I got you here. You've taken the time, so thank you for walking us through your process and the installation. Let's talk business for a second, because for a lot of dealers tuning in, this might be a category that they've found some success in. But let's highlight a little bit about how your business, JK Automotive Designs, has absolutely found their footing in this. And if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit about the business model of CI radar detection.
Sure. So we opened this company about 9 years ago. And when we opened it, one of the models we had was one of the parts we wanted to install all the time was radar laser. We knew we wanted to do upholstery and audio. Those are the 3 things we wanted to key on. And back then we kept doing radar and laser. We would test it. We brought a guy in to actually do live testing. He has multiple guns, like 20 different guns, Dragon Eyes, multiple different Dragon Eyes, variations of them, different software updates. So we really wanted to understand laser and radar, to the best we could. So when a client shopped with us, not only did we understand it well, but we could actually charge more for it. And I believe, you can charge what you're worth. There is no price tag on it. It's up to you. And, if you find the right client and we just take a different path. We don't follow what other people do. We try to be what I call trendsetters. And so over the years, we've done hundreds of radars and laser systems. And we've done in just about every car in the beginning, like I would say the first 30 or 40 cars, we did testing. And then once we perfected regular placement of laser heads, we then had a client reach out to us from Newfoundland, Canada, which up there, I believe it's illegal to have laser on the front of your car. And he wanted for us to develop a way to make it stealth in the car. This was back in 2016 at some point. And so he drove down from Newfoundland. He brought us the car. We went over it for a few hours while he was here. He flew home. Over the next 2 days, we developed a way of disguising the laser in the front of the car. And since then, we have been perfecting that. So in the beginning, we started by testing just regular heads placed on the front of the car. And then now we had to start over again and do testing because we were using what's called the IR acrylic, which is that stealth acrylic that the light emits through and emits back. So we had to do, I mean, we've probably tested 40 to 50 cars with our stealth systems on there. So since we were able to come up with that new way of putting a laser head in the car, we were able to put our own price tag on it. So these days, you know, we are getting upwards $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 to do full radar laser systems from Radenso. Let's go back a little bit in time, and we were, you know, in general, we were using other companies. Radenso was not around yet. So when we met Radenso, Mindy and John actually came out to the shop. I didn't know who they were. I didn't realize John was the owner of the company. And they came to the shop. They were the only owner that's ever come here from a radar manufacturer. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And we surprised him, and we had live testing here when he came, and it worked. So we tried it. And since then, we've developed a relationship that's amazing. You know, there's other brands out there that you can use that are good. Some might, you know, test out 100 feet better. But to me, distance is not a big thing. So I want something that performs well, that always works. I want a company that I can, you know, that stands by me. They have the same business model as we do, in my opinion. I'm here late at night. They are there late at night working. They think outside the box, and they come up with new designs and ways of doing things that are different than everybody else. And we do the same. And a lot of companies will design a laser system, and it just doesn't work as well. And they realize that ALP is a great company. It works perfect. And so they partnered up with ALP. And I think that was a good choice. It works, you know? And so anyway, it's great if something goes bad, which I would say if we've done 100 installs, maybe we've had 3 or 4 cars that we've had to replace parts on, we get them the next day from them. It's instant. They send it to us. They don't even charge me for it. They send it to us. We get it. We send the old one back, and the customer's on his way. It's amazing. I really have never dealt with a company like that. There's a few, not too many out there. So for the reason, that's why we do business with them. The product works. They have unbelievable customer service. I think they've been to my shop 3 or 4 times now. The rep out here is amazing. They always pick great reps. I can say that. So anyway, so that's why we use them. As far as radar goes, we've kind of shied away from doing a lot of radar and laser around here. I'll just say it. I don't want to be a part of that race to zero. To me, I'd rather, you know, walk my own path here. You know, be different. So we've shied away from doing regular radar, laser, regular audio, smaller projects, I would say. And in 2016, we recently started getting into full custom interiors and street rods and hot rods, and it could be any car really. So as of lately, and we have a car in the back, maybe we can show it, but we're actually now incorporating radar and laser into our full custom interior projects, as well as big audio jobs too. So most of our projects that get a full custom interior from us treatment, they're also getting radar laser, they're getting audio, everything that we used to do, our backbone, where we came from, the 12-volt world, you know? So it's really nice to incorporate that into these builds. And that's just another way we try to be different and try to give the client as much as possible that they can get with this, you know, custom interior that they're getting. This is their personal space they sit in, so we want it to be the best as possible for them. Also, the cars they're building these $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 cars, and they have 1,000 horsepower motors in them. It goes fast. So radar laser is important, I think. And in the hot rod world, where a lot of people aren't really thinking about that right now. So if other shops out there, you guys should be doing it. It's great.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy, for walking us through that very, very technical process of scanning the vehicle as well as creating the pods. Now, let's go to another member of JK, Mr. John Metcalf, who's going to talk us through a little bit about the installation side of things. So for you installers tuning in, give you some insight of the the actual install once you have these pods ready to go. So John, this is a vehicle that you've recently installed. Walk us through a little bit about the installation process of these sensors.
So after Jeremy has designed the pods on CAD software, he prints them out and then he gives them to me and I will process them. First I take them and I will sandblast them to get rid of any nubs or any defects, and then I will repair any holes. Usually there aren't any holes. Then I will take some IR acrylic, cut that out on our laser printer, and then I will have to curve that to the bumper. Sometimes the bumper has a nice curve. Occasionally it's flat, but on this particular model, as you can see right here, it has a nice curve to it. So I have to take that plexi, I have to heat it up, and then I have to bend it to that curve. After that, I will usually bond the lenses to the housings, and then I will paint the housings. After the paint has dried, I will put some nice acrylic tape on there, and then I will level them out on the bumper, and I will tape them to the bumper. As you can see, they blend in very nicely. When it comes to the TX sensor, on this particular model, sometimes we will create another pod for the TX sensor, but on this particular model, the way the grill is designed, we decided to cut it in. You can barely see it right here. And since we mounted the RX sensors vertically, we had to use a TX sensor, because if you use 3 RX sensors, they all have to go horizontally. On this particular model, we also mounted the radar behind the plastic. As you can see, the car has a bunch of honeycomb type grills, and the radar works best when it's in open air, but the second best option is behind painted plastic. We try to make sure there's no metal or lights or anything like that, particularly behind the bumper. So in this particular BMW, on the rear, we decided to install 2 RX sensors about 19 inches apart to cover the license plate and the 2 taillights. The sensors were modeled after the taillights. They have the same angles. We do like to have symmetry in our designs. As you can see, they're both designed exactly the same on both left and right. Did the same process as we did in the front, where they were designed in CAD. The lenses were curved, and then we painted them and mounted them using VHB tape from 3M. We decided to mount the radar behind the bumper on this particular model. It didn't have any open grills or anything like that, and that was the best place to get the best coverage and have it work properly.
All right, what an amazing tour we've had today, talking about Radenso technology as well as a business model and some really amazing advanced skills when it comes to customizing pods with the CI systems. So if you're looking for more information on any of the products that we covered today, I do encourage you to check out the official website found at radenso.com. And if you happen to be in Canada, then you need to know that the official distributor is in fact Automobility. And on that note, we're going to reach out to their product manager over there, Michael Rosenberg. Now, Mike, this is a very interesting category. It's very niche. Why is this technology so important for Canadian dealers to fully get on board with and understand to take advantage of?
Well, our Western dealers have a great additional revenue stream that the rest of Canada can't benefit from. So anyone with an install bay that isn't taking advantage of this opportunity should definitely include the Radenso RCM custom install platform to offer a boost to their revenue. It provides customers with a reliable, proven technology to give peace of mind behind the wheel in a sleek modular system. And it's backed by great tech support both during and after the install is complete. So it's a win-win.
Now, Mike, obviously, as demonstrated on today's show, a shop like JK Automotive Designs has taken it to another level. What advice do you have for our Canadian dealers that could help them level up their CI radar game and maybe take advantage or get at least a little bit closer to the business model presented today?
Well, it's clear to see with some clever creativity and the right tools, anything is possible to deliver a final product that truly stands out from the rest and allows you to put your own signature stamp on the work you deliver. This obviously will not only result in happy customers, but helps build a reputation and referral business that will keep your shop constantly busy with these awesome creations unique to each delivery, all based around the adaptivity of the RCM and ALP platform.
All right, I want to take this opportunity and thank the many guests that took their time to join us on today's show. Of course, John and Mindy from Radenso. We've had Jeremy and John from JK, as well as, of course, Mike Rosenberg from Automobility. And in my closing comments, when it comes to the custom install side of things in radar detection, I want to kind of say this in two different parts. Part one, if you are a business within the 12-volt electronics industry, regardless if you're in Canada or the US, I hope that this session has at least, at a minimum, opened your eyes to the possibility of what can be done and achieved within CI. The customers are out there. What you need to do is level up your knowledge, train your staff, and get into a position to be a leader in this category within your space and your territory. Now, when it comes to Radenso, there's no doubt. This is a brand that has grown in tremendous popularity, has a really great reputation, as well as a momentum. They've addressed key concerns such as false triggers, and now bringing you even detailed stuff such as a custom style pod for you to incorporate into your installations. Add to that the support, the innovation, the commitment they have, as demonstrated by John with the research facility in Ohio. And I think it's needless to say that this is a brand that's not going anywhere but up. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.